In the kitchen, what am I gonna do? There's a rat in the kitchen, what am I gonna do?
The idea for PeaceMeals came as I worked with survivors of trauma, of conflict, of torture, and also as I just met individuals who had been through some pretty intense and stressful life situations, seeing that we need a better way to take healing into our own hands. Often individuals who have been through trauma just sort of go through the motions, live life day to day, and have lost this ability to savor. And I'm interested in sort of recapturing that idea, and especially in doing it in community. Seeing also that food is this universal equalizer. Everyone has to eat. A shared table just breaks down boundaries between individuals, and the way that conversation flows around the dinner table is unlike any other space. So PeaceMeals it rests on 3 principles. The first is cuisine, maximizing nutrition and nutrients by mindfully choosing ingredients and by mindfully preparing foods so that you can maximize the nutrition that you get for them. The second is community, sharing, cooking together, getting messy together, making mistakes, burning the risotto, burning the cake, like that's all okay. And as long as we share it together, it can be really cathartic. And then PeaceMeals moves away from this traditional model of aluminum folding chairs and styrofoam coffee and formal group therapy, and moves people into homes, just to break down barriers and to create authentic community. And finally, the last one is creativity. That having a project to put your hands to can be cathartic and can be healing. And in PeaceMeal's case, it's cooking. Like I said, it's getting messy in the kitchen and making mistakes and discovering that cooking can be an art form.
PeaceMeals impacted my life when I realized that I was not the only person that was going through trauma and hard experiences in life. As well as cooking with people. I had a great time cooking with other people, getting to talk to them and knowing that I was cooking valuable products in a very mindful way. Afterwards, I realized that this should be part of my everyday life and that I should continue the healing process through cooking intelligently and getting to know people.
PeaceMeals works when small groups of individuals, typically 8 to 10, people who have been through similar traumas, similar life situations, similar conflict even, they gather together in a home, usually, or in a public kitchen, and we all spend time getting to know each other in a real and authentic way, not an artificial or forced kind of way. We go through this idea of nutritional healing, how nutrients can be targeted to address post-trauma symptoms such as fatigue, anxiety, depression, mind fog, and irritability, etc. And we talk about how the food we eat not only affects our physical bodies, affects how we function every day, but it also affects our mental health and our mood. Then we go on and split up into smaller groups, and each group prepares a recipe that has already been laid out, and all the ingredients are there and prepared. And then everyone makes a mess, and it gets a little crazy sometimes, but all of a sudden it comes together, and it's a miracle every time. But then we all lay the table together and sit down and take a moment to see what we have created together, and how it wasn't so scary after all. And then we dine together, and the conversation typically flows very easily.
It was a really relaxed way of engaging with other people that had been through the same thing that I had been through. And it was just a really good, I think meals in general are where community actually happens. And so then when it's a community of people that have for my case, lost someone that they really loved. You're eating it together, but it's not just that, like you're preparing a meal together and you're learning about how that impacts how you feel, just like in life. And just hearing about how nutrition can really impact like how you heal and how you cope with like stress of losing someone, how you cope with grief. That was a really big deal for me, and it came at a really great time. But I just think it's just such a good idea to bring people together and to educate them about nutrition.
I really enjoyed PeaceMeals because eating dinner with people is one of my favourite things to do, and it was a really nice opportunity to meet people that I wouldn't usually share a table with, and to meet people that I would like to see again. It was also really nice to really acknowledge why we were there, and also to really think about the food we were eating and why we were eating it.
PeaceMeals is replicable and scalable because it rests on this idea of authentic communities, small communities. Once an individual has been through a peace meal or a series of meals, they now have the ideas in hand, the information, the recipes in hand to be able to recreate the meals, either with that same small group of individuals or within their own spheres, with family members, with loved ones, etc. They can stay in touch with each other after the meal through the PeaceMeals website, where they have private forums to be able to continue the conversation after the meal and share recipes and advice, etc. Or within making their own mini peace meals almost, just 2 or 3 of them, getting together and cooking and building those bonds further. Furthermore, peace meals rest upon this idea of targeted nutrition and maximizing the nutrients we get out of our foods, not necessarily specific ingredients. So in that sense, peace meals is replicable across cultures. You can find similar nutrients in different local foods that you could only find in certain countries, say, certain regions. So, wherein one group would do really well with salmon and walnuts, another group would do really well with peanuts and sweet potatoes. So, it's applicable across cultures, and people can take the ideas and be empowered after the peace meal to take healing into their own hands, which, at the end of the day, is the goal of PeaceMeals.